Welcome. Step in softly, close the door behind you, and let the quiet settle. This is a room made for late-night listeners. The kind who sit very still and don't mind when the house seems to breathe back. Tonight's theme is best friend. Horror. Devotion turned dangerous. Loyalty with a thin crack running through it. We're walking the narrow line between trust and control, between the person who knows you best and the one who can hurt you in ways no stranger ever could. You'll hear stories of borrowed faces and shared secrets, of sleepovers that last too long, and messages that keep arriving from friends who shouldn't be able to write. These aren't monsters in the dark. They're the familiar voices that move in. The hand on your shoulder that feels a little too steady. A small warning before we begin. These accounts stick. They echo in the mirror. They travel with you to bed, and they ask quiet questions you won't want to answer. If you sleep, don't expect it to be deep. Most people listen all the way through and forget to subscribe. If you want more nights like this, quieter rooms, colder truths, press it now. Before the lights dim any further, tell me something first. What time is it where you are? And where are you watching from tonight? Leave it in the comments so we know who's still awake with us. You might want to leave a light on. Let's begin. The second I heard the whisper, I knew she wasn't asleep. It was around 2:43 a.m. I remember because the red digits on my alarm clock were the only light in the room, burning through the dark like small, angry eyes. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels thick and alive. You could hear the floorboards settle, the hum of the fridge down the hall, and every now and then, her breath. My best friend, Naomi. She was lying on the air mattress beside my bed, facing the ceiling. At least, that's how I left her when I turned off the light. But now, I could hear her whispering soft, low, like she was talking through her teeth. I froze. At first I thought she was dreaming. Then I realized there was a rhythm to it, a pattern, a conversation. Naomi had shown up earlier that evening in tears. Her boyfriend had cheated on her again, and she didn't want to be alone. We'd been friends since middle school, so of course, I told her to come over. She didn't even bring a bag, just her phone, her charger, and a who. She was quiet all night. Not sad, quiet, just distant, like she wasn't really here. Every time I asked if she wanted to talk, she'd nod but say nothing. By midnight, I gave up and told her to sleep. I remember her lying down, facing the ceiling, her eyes wide open, even in the dark. That was 4 hours ago. Now, I could hear her again. "Stop," she whispered. Then, a pause. I said stop. My chest tightened. I wanted to ask if she was okay, but my voice wouldn't come out. It wasn't the whisper itself that scared me. It was the way it sounded. Wrong. Like she wasn't talking to someone else, but trying to convince herself. There was another pause, followed by something I'll never forget. A quiet giggle. It wasn't playful. It was wet, broken, like someone trying not to choke while laughing. Then silence. I stared into the dark for what felt like hours. Every second stretched, and the sound of my own heartbeat started to fill my ears. I finally whispered, "Naomi." No answer. I tried again, louder. "Naomi?" The whisper stopped. The silence that followed was heavier than before, like the air itself was waiting. Then slowly, I heard the sound of fabric moving, the soft squeak of the air mattress as she rolled over. Her voice came out flat. "Why are you awake?" Her tone wasn't angry. It was empty. "I thought I heard you talking," I said. She didn't respond. I could hear her breathing now, deep, uneven. Then, very quietly, she whispered, "Go back to sleep." I don't know how long I lay there after that. I think I drifted in and out, caught between exhaustion and fear. When I opened my eyes again, it was still dark, but the red digits on the clock now read for 19. Something felt off. Colder. The air had a dampness to it, like the window had been left open. I reached for my phone, but it wasn't on the nightstand. I must have dropped it somewhere. That's when I saw Naomi. She wasn't on the air mattress anymore. She was standing in the corner of my room, facing the wall. At first I thought she was sleepwalking. Her hair fell over her shoulders, and the oversized hoodie hung low, almost covering her legs. She was still, except for a slow tilt of her head. Naomi. My voice came out small. She didn't move. I sat up, the sheets clinging to my skin. My throat went dry. Are you okay? Still nothing. Just that slow, unnatural breathing, shallow, in, long out, like someone pretending to sleep. Then I heard her whisper again, only this time. I realized it wasn't directed at me. No, she said softly, her voice almost childlike. I told you to leave me alone. I couldn't see her face. I couldn't see who she was talking to. And then, I swear, I heard another voice whisper back. It came from right behind her, a whisper layered with hers, faint, broken, but there. Two voices murmuring together in the dark. I froze, every hair on my body standing up. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked. Naomi turned slightly, just enough for me to see her profile. Her eyes were open, but unfocused. Her lips moved, but the second voice stopped. I stumbled out of bed, fumbling for the light switch. The moment the bulb flickered on, she blinked once and looked at me. "What's wrong?" she said, her voice normal, like nothing happened. I stared at her, trembling. "You were standing there, whispering." She blinked again. I was sleepwalking. I do that sometimes, but she didn't. I'd known her for 10 years. I'd seen her drunk, angry, heartbroken, but never once had she sleepwalked. She sat down on the air mattress, rubbing her eyes. "You scared me," she said. I scared her. I didn't respond. I just turned off the light and lay back down. For a few minutes, I listened to her breathing return to normal. Then I tried to convince myself I'd imagined it all. The whispers, the second voice, the way she'd stood there so still. But I didn't sleep again that night. In the morning, she was cheerful. Too cheerful. Making coffee, humming off-key, like nothing weird had happened. "Sorry about last night," she said. "I get weird when I'm stressed." I forced a laugh. "Yeah, no problem." But something about her smile made my stomach twist. It was too wide. Her eyes didn't match it. She left around noon. I didn't walk her out. I just watched from the window. The moment she got into her car, she stopped and looked up at me. She smiled again, slow and deliberate. That's when I saw it in her hand, my phone. I didn't even remember her picking it up. I waited until she was gone, then ran to my nightstand again, just in case. Empty. I called her from the house phone, but she didn't answer. I messaged her on Instagram. Nothing. Hours passed. Then, around 6 p.m., my phone pinged from my laptop. An airdrop notification. From my own phone. The file was named 2:43 a.m. My blood went cold. I clicked it. It was a video. The camera faced me, asleep in bed. The frame was dark, but you could see the outline of my body. The faint red glow from the clock. The angle was low. From the floor, Naomi was kneeling beside the bed. Her face was right next to mine. Her eyes were open, unblinking, staring straight into the lens. Then she slowly raised her finger and traced something. Across my cheek, her whisper came through, barely audible. "Stop pretending to be me." The video ended. I called her again. No answer. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I left the lights on, locked every door, checked the windows twice. By the third day, she finally texted me back, greater than "Hey, sorry, been offline. You okay?" I didn't reply right away. I didn't know what to say. I just asked one question. "Greater than why do you have my phone?" She answered within seconds. "Greater than I don't. You gave it to me, remember?" I hadn't. And then, before I could type again, another message came through. "Greater than you were acting so weird that night. You said someone was in the house." Then you started recording yourself. I scrolled through my own videos. Heart pounding. Nothing new. No 2:43 zami. It wasn't there anymore. But my phone's gallery showed something else. The photo album titled Naomi. I never made that. Inside were over 50 photos, all taken at night. All of me sleeping. I blocked her number that evening. Changed my locks. Told myself she'd snapped under stress. I tried to move on. 3 weeks passed. I hadn't heard from her since then. One night, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a single photo, my bedroom, taken from outside the window. Naomi, standing behind the glass, her smile just visible through the reflection. The caption read, "Can I stay over again?" The police didn't find anything. They checked the footage from the street cameras. No sign of her car, no proof she'd been there. Her apartment was empty when they went by. Half her stuff gone, the other half destroyed. Her neighbors said they hadn't seen her in days. They also said something else. They said Naomi never lived there alone. Apparently, she had a twin sister who'd died when they were 8. But here's the thing. Naomi never told me that. And when I showed the police her photo, the neighbor swore that was the other one. I deleted my social media, changed my number, moved to towns over. For a while, things were quiet. Then, about a month ago, I started noticing little things again. Hair tie on my nightstand I didn't remember using. My toothbrush wet before I'd brushed. My bed slightly warm when I woke up. I told myself I was imagining it. Stress, paranoia. Then last week, I woke up to my phone unlocked on my chest. The Notes app was open. There was one sentence typed on a blank page. Greater than you said I could stay. It's been 3 nights now. I don't sleep much. Every sound feels amplified. The hum of the fridge, the creak of the walls, the faint tick of the heating vent. I keep checking my windows, my doors, my phone. Last night, I finally caved and checked my security camera, the one I'd set up facing my bed after she disappeared. The footage played normally until 2:42 a.m., then static. When the feed returned, there were 2 people sleeping in the bed. I stopped breathing. One of them was me. The other was lying right behind me, face buried in my neck, breathing slow and deep. I'm writing this now because I don't know how much longer I can pretend this is normal. I hear her sometimes, the quiet whisper from the corner of my room. Stop pretending. I've checked every corner, every lock, every wall. There's nothing there. But last night, I finally saw it. In the reflection of my TV, her shape standing right behind me, hair falling forward, hoodie still the same. I turned around. No one, but on my bed, something new. A note written on the back of my phone case, in her handwriting. Thanks for letting me stay again. I don't think Naomi ever left that night. I think she just switched sides of the bed. The first text came 3 days after her funeral. I was half asleep, lying on the couch, when my phone buzzed beside me. The sound didn't even register at first, just another useless notification. Then I saw the name on the screen, Naomi. For a second, my brain refused to process it. The screen glowed against the dark room, her name right there in the same blue font I'd seen 1,000 times before. The same contact photo, her laughing on my porch, holding a plastic cup, sunlight cutting through her hair. But Naomi had been dead for 72 hours. I just stared at the screen. The text was simple. Hey, no emoji. No punctuation. Just that one word. My first instinct was that someone had stolen her phone. Her brother maybe. Or a hacker. People do strange things when someone dies. Weird grief impulses. But I couldn't shake how casual it looked. Like she'd just picked up where we left off. My hands were shaking when I typed back. Who is this? The reply came almost instantly. What do you mean? My stomach flipped. Naomi. Yeah. Why? I didn't sleep that night. The message sat there like something alive, buzzing in my mind. Every few minutes, I'd check the chat again, like maybe it would disappear. I knew I should block the number. I knew I should delete it. But I COULDN, single quotes, T. Instead, I scrolled up through our old texts, the hundreds of stupid jokes, voice notes, and plans we never got to keep. I stopped at the last real message she'd sent me, 4 days before her accident. Call me when you get home. I saw something weird. I never called her back. Naomi had crashed her car on Route 6, right outside town. Rain, poor visibility, they said, but her mom told me there was something strange about it. The car was found half a mile off the road, engine still running, her seatbelt unbuckled, the passenger door open, like she'd gotten out, or someone else had. By morning, I convinced myself it was a prank. Someone spoofing her number, maybe. I even tried to rationalize it at work, that grief does things to your head. You start seeing patterns, ghosts, signals. But that night, another text came, "Can I come over?" I froze. My apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the fridge. The clock read 11:47 p.m. I typed fast. "Who is this really? Stop acting weird." My pulse hammered in my ears. "You're dead." Naomi shut up. I stared at the screen until the typing bubble appeared again, then vanished, then came back. "I miss you." I didn't respond. I couldn't. The conversation sat open all night, that last message burning into my brain. At 3:12 a.m., I heard something outside my window, soft tapping, uneven, like a fingernail against glass. I lay completely still. The tapping came again, slower this time. 1, 2, pause. 3. Then a faint vibration on the nightstand. My phone lit up. Naomi: "Come, let me in." Don't know how long I stayed frozen. My apartment was on the second floor. No balcony, no ledge. Just 2 narrow windows overlooking the alley. I finally got the courage to move. I grabbed the phone, heart pounding, and opened the messages again. The last one was gone. Deleted. The chat was empty. Completely wiped clean. The next morning, I drove to Naomi's mom's house. I didn't tell her about the texts. I just needed to see something real. Her mom looked wrecked, the kind of grief that hollows you out. She invited me in, made coffee. Her hands were shaking the whole time. "She had your numbers saved under something strange," she said suddenly. I looked up. "What do you mean?" Her mom pulled out Naomi's old phone. The screen was cracked, half the case missing. She scrolled for a second, then turned it toward me. Under my contacts, my name was saved as mine. I tried to laugh it off, but it didn't come out right. "She used to joke like that," I said. Her mom gave a small, sad smile. "Yeah, I guess so." Before I left, she handed me Naomi's phone. "They said it still works. Maybe you can go through it. Find pictures for the memorial." I didn't want to touch it, but I took it anyway. Back home, I turned it on. The screen flickered, battery almost dead. Same wallpaper, that photo of her and me at the lake, sunlight catching her hair. I opened the Messages app. Most threads were normal, family, work, me. But one was odd. No name, no number, just a black circle for a contact. When I tapped it open, my chest went cold. Every message was from last week. "Where are you? I see your lights on. I'm outside. Look at your phone. Pick up." And then, at 12:09 a.m., the last one. "I'm sorry." That was the same night she died. The messages were all sent minutes before her. Car crashed. I dropped the phone. It hit the carpet. Screen flickering again before going black. The air in my apartment suddenly felt wrong. Too still. Too heavy. I turned off all the lights and sat on the couch, gripping my own phone like a weapon. At 12:14 a.m., it buzzed. One notification. One text. From Naomi. "Did you read them?" The panic hit so hard it made me dizzy. I turned on every light in the apartment, every room, every corner. I checked the hallway. the locks, the windows. Nothing. But when I came back to the living room, Naomi's old phone was on again. It was lying on the couch, cushion, screen glowing faintly. The Messages app was open. A new photo had appeared in the thread. I tapped it before I could stop myself. The image was grainy, dark. My apartment, my living room. The photo was taken from behind me. I was sitting on the couch, the same position I was in right now, holding my phone. I don't remember breathing after that. I just dropped everything and ran for the door. Outside, the night air hit me like ice. The street was empty, silent, except for the buzz of a faraway streetlight. I called the police from the sidewalk, telling them someone had broken in, that someone was inside. They came fast. Checked everything, no signs of entry, nothing stolen. Windows locked from the inside. One officer found Naomi's old phone on the floor. He handed it to me like he didn't want to touch it. "This yours?" I shook my head. "It's hers." He looked at me for a moment, then said, "Maybe don't keep it plugged in anymore." For a while, I tried to believe it was over. I put the phone in a drawer, deleted our chat from mine, moved apartments a month later. But it didn't stop. Every so often, I'd get phantom notifications. A faint buzz, a flash of her name, then gone. My new number, my new phone. Once, I woke up to my phone unlocked, the flashlight on, camera app open, no photos saved. But the battery was drained completely. The last time it happened was 2 nights ago. It started the same way. A message that appeared and disappeared before I could open it. I told myself it was just a glitch, an echo in the cloud. Then, at exactly 2:09 a.m., I got a FaceTime call. Naomi. I didn't answer. I just sat there, frozen, staring at the screen. It rang for 22 seconds, then stopped. A minute later, my phone buzzed again. A voicemail. I played it. There was no sound for the first few seconds, just static. Then a faint breath. Then, very softly. I didn't crash. I dropped the phone, my hands shaking so hard I could barely breathe. The message ended there. No explanation. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. What if she was right? What if someone had been in the car with her? I called her mom the next day. She didn't pick up, so I left a voicemail, trying to sound calm. I told her I'd been thinking about Naomi, about that night, about her texts. She called back an hour later, her voice trembling. "Sweetheart," she said, "I think you should know something." "What?" "They never found her phone." I dropped the call. I still had that cracked phone in my drawer. I'd been too scared to throw it away. But when I pulled the drawer open, it wasn't there. Just a faint mark on the wood, where it had been resting. I tore through my apartment couch, kitchen, bathroom, nothing. Then I heard it. The faint buzz of a phone, vibrating somewhere in the walls. I pressed my ear against the plaster. It was there, steady, muffled, buried deep. Buzz, buzz. I stepped back, trying to listen, trying to make sense of it. And then, through the faint vibration, I heard her voice. "I'm still here." The sound wasn't through the phone anymore. It was behind the wall. Buzzbuzz.com. Look, I don't remember picking up the hammer. I just know I started hitting the drywall until the dust filled my throat. The vibration got louder, the voice clearer. Closer. My hand hit something cold, metal, smooth. I pulled out the object. Naomi's phone, screen cracked, light flickering. The battery icon glowed red, 1%. It buzzed one more time. A new message. Finally, I dropped it. It hit the floor and went dark. But my own phone buzzed immediately after. The notification popped up before I could even breathe. New message from Naomi. "Thank you for finding me." The typing bubble appeared again. Then another message came through. "I can see you now." I threw the phones into a drawer, locked it, shoved it into a closet. That was yesterday. Now, every few minutes, I hear the faint buzz again, not from the drawer, not from my phone, but from somewhere closer, like it's inside the walls, or under the floor. I haven't opened my messages since then. I can't, because the last preview I saw said this: "Stop ignoring me. I'm outside." I just looked at my lock screen. Her name is still glowing there, and the message keeps typing. The needle buzzed louder than it should have. That sound still rings in my ears when I think about that night, the high-pitched tremor of it, cutting through the cheap studio air mixed with rubbing alcohol and cigarette smoke. Naomi sat beside me, grinning wide, her leg crossed, bouncing with excitement. "We're actually doing it," she said. Her voice was half laughter, half nerves. "Best friends forever, right?" The artist nodded without looking up, the buzz shifting pitch as the needle carved the tiny symbol onto her wrist. A small black infinity loop with our initials inside it. A and N. Simple. Permanent. I remember staring at the ink sinking into her skin and feeling my stomach twist. Something about the sound, the smell, the heat of the machine against flesh. It made me dizzy. But she laughed through the whole thing, her head tilted back, eyes glassy. When it was my turn, she held my hand. "No backing out now," she said, squeezing tight. "If one of us disappears, the other still exists. Always." It's been 2 months since Naomi disappeared. They never found her car, her phone, her clothes. Nothing. Just gone. And the weirdest part, my tattoo, the one we got together, hasn't healed right. At first it was just red and swollen, normal for new ink. But about a week after she went missing, the skin started to raise around the letters. Not scabbing, more like movement under the skin, like something was shifting just beneath it. When I pressed it, it felt warm. Too warm, and sometimes it pulsed. The first time I noticed it move, I was half asleep on the couch. The TV was on low, one of those late-night infomercials humming in the background. I felt an itch on my wrist and went to scratch it, but froze when the skin twitched on its own, a small spasm that ran right through the inked line. It was faint, like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. I stared for a full minute, my breath caught in my throat. Then my phone buzzed. Naomi, at least, that's what the contact said. I hadn't deleted her number. I couldn't bring myself to. The message read, "You feel it too." I dropped the phone. It hit the floor, face down. I couldn't breathe. My skin went cold, my body refusing to move. I told myself it was a prank. Someone hacked her account, maybe, or a glitch. Anything but what it looked like. When I finally picked it up again, the message was gone. The chat thread was empty. I didn't sleep that night. Over the next few days, the pain got worse. Not sharp, but deep, like the tattoo had burrowed inward. The lines darkened, spreading slightly, the way ink bleeds through fabric. Sometimes, I'd catch myself scratching until I drew blood. I thought about going to a doctor, but what was I supposed to say? "Hey, my dead best friend's tattoo is moving." They'd think I'd lost it, so I tried to ignore it, until the messages came again. "It's not finished. You stopped halfway. Finish it." Each one sent from Naomi's number, each one vanishing seconds after I read it. I started noticing other things too. The mirror fogging up on its own, the faint smell of burnt hair in my apartment, and sometimes the sound of a voice when the TV was off. Her voice, whispering, laughing softly, like she used to when we'd stay up too late, talking about everything and nothing. I told myself it was grief, hallucinations. I'd lost her, and my brain was filling the silence with her memory. But then something impossible happened at the tattoo changed. It happened on a Thursday night. I was brushing my teeth when I saw it in the mirror. The ink shimmered, not like light reflecting off skin, but like it was wet, alive. The infinity loop twisted slightly, reshaping itself. The initials A and N started to blur. When it settled, the letters were reversed. Now it read N and a dot, and the black had deepened, not faded like normal ink, but darker, richer, almost red dot blood red. I ran cold water over it, scrubbing hard, panic tearing through me. But the harder I scrubbed, the more it burned. The next morning, I woke up with blood under my fingernails. I stopped going out after that. I couldn't stand people staring at my wrist, couldn't explain the restless feeling under my skin. My phone kept buzzing, always around midnight, always from her number. When I finally answered one night, I didn't say anything. I just listened. Static, then breathing, then a faint voice, muffled like it was underwater. "You forgot the promise, Naomi." My throat felt dry, my voice shaking. "Where are you?" A pause. "Here." And then I heard it, a faint knock, not through the phone, from my door. I didn't move for a full minute. The room felt smaller, quieter. My heart thudded in my ears, syncing with the faint rhythm coming from the other side of the door. 3 knocks. Slow, deliberate. I grabbed the nearest thing, a kitchen knife, and crept forward. My apartment was dead silent, the kind of silence that presses against your skull. When I reached the peephole, I hesitated before looking. There was no one there, but the knocking continued, closer this time. Not from the door, but from inside the walls, and with every knock, my wrist burned hotter. I ran to the bathroom and turned on the light. The tattoo was bleeding. A thin red line ran through the loop, trickling down my palm and in the reflection. For half a second, I thought I saw Naomi, standing behind me, her hair dripping wet, her skin pale and cracked like old porcelain, her wrist glowing faintly with the same symbol. Then she blinked, and I was alone again. I didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? But something in me broke that night. The fear turned into obsession. I started digging through her things, the ones her mom had given me after the funeral, journals, photos, random junk in one of her notebooks. I found a page folded in half. Inside, a drawing of our tattoo, but it wasn't the same one we'd gotten. Hers had extra markings, little lines branching out from the infinity loop, like cracks, and written underneath, in her handwriting, "One body can't hold two souls." I went back to the tattoo studio the next day. The artist looked confused when I mentioned Naomi. "Your friend," he said, frowning. "She never showed up." "What?" He nodded. "She booked the same time as you, but when she didn't come, you said you wanted to go first. Then you left before I could call her." That wasn't true. She was right there. She'd held my hand. She'd gone first. I'd watched the needle touch her skin. I left the shop shaking, my wrist burning hotter than ever. That night, I dreamed of her again, only this time, it wasn't a dream. I woke up to the sound of whispering. My apartment was dark, but the moonlight leaked through the blinds just enough to see the outline of someone sitting at the foot of my bed. Her shape, her hair, the way her shoulders trembled as she laughed quietly to herself. "Naomi," I whispered. She turned her head slowly. Her eyes were black, not dark, not shadowed, just black. "You finished it," she said. My throat tightened. "What?" She smiled, showing teeth that looked too sharp. "Now it's your turn." I blinked, and she was gone. The next morning, I found a new mark on my arm, just below the tattoo. A small curved line, fresh, raw, like the start of another design. I hadn't done it. I know I hadn't. Over the next week, more lines appeared, small at first, then spreading. I started covering it with bandages, long sleeves, anything to hide it. But the skin kept shifting, reshaping itself while I slept. When I peeled the bandage off one morning, the lines had connected into something new. A second infinity loop, intertwined with the first dot, and inside it, a single word, "Ours." By then, I'd stopped leaving the apartment altogether. I couldn't. I didn't trust what I'd see outside. The mirrors started showing things that weren't there, her face over mine. her smile stretching wider every day. And the smell, God, that smell like damp earth and salt water, filled the air. No matter how many windows I opened, sometimes I'd hear footsteps pacing in the hallway, slow, dragging footsteps. Sometimes she'd hum the same song she used to sing when we were drunk, swaying on my balcony. You are my sunshine. Now, it sounded broken, wrong, like it came from underwater. Last night, I woke up to her sitting beside me again. No fear this time, just numbness. Her head tilted, her smile too soft to be real. Do you remember what we said? She whispered. My mouth was dry. Best friends forever. She nodded. Forever means sharing everything. Then she reached out, tracing her finger along my tattoo. It burned like fire, but I couldn't move, couldn't even scream. When she pulled her hand away, my wrist was bleeding again. The skin peeled open just enough to see black ink spreading underneath, crawling upward like roots. She smiled, eyes flickering with light. Now we match, she said. I don't know what's real anymore. The last few days have blurred together. Sometimes I see her in my reflection. Sometimes I hear her inside my head. She says she's cold. She says she wants to come home. And every time I look at the tattoo, the loops look tighter, closer, like something's pulling them together. This morning, I woke up and the ink had spread across my hand. Black veins creeping toward my fingers. My phone buzzed. One message. Naomi, ready to switch. I think I understand now. It wasn't just a symbol. It was a connection, one that didn't break when she died. She said it herself before we got it. If one of us disappears, the other still exists. Maybe. She meant it literally. Maybe that was the plan all along. Because when I look in the mirror now, I don't just see me. I see her. Her reflection moves a little slower than mine. And sometimes, she smiles when I don't. I tried cutting the tattoo off this morning. I really did. But the knife didn't go through. The skin healed over the second eye. Touched it, and now the ink is almost to my elbow. It's still moving, still alive, and her voice keeps whispering soft, close to my ear. You said forever. The last time I checked my wrist, there were 2 names inside the loop. Naomi, Anna, both written in the same handwriting, both bleeding slowly through the skin. When I blink now, I don't know whose eyes open first, mine or hers. The second I woke up and saw the attic door open, I knew something was wrong. It shouldn't have been open. We were 12 years old, and it was the one rule my best friend Emily's mom gave us that night. Don't go up there. She said it with that fake smile adults do when they're trying to hide real fear. I remember laughing about it when she went to bed. What's she think we're gonna do? Summon demons? I joked, stuffing popcorn in my mouth. Emily didn't laugh. She just stared at the ceiling, chewing her nails. That was the night we made the pact. We swore, hand on heart, pinky promise, all of it, that no matter what happened during our sleepovers, we would never open that attic door after midnight. But at some point, one of us did, and I don't think it was me. The attic wasn't like normal ones. No pull-down stairs or creaky ladder. Just a square door in the ceiling with an old brass handle, right above the hallway outside Emily's bedroom. When it opened, the whole house seemed to change temperature. I could feel it from the bed, a faint draft, cold and dusty, rolling down the hallway like breath. I sat up, heart thudding. The glow from her nightlight flickered faintly across the walls. I could still hear the low buzz of her fish tank, the hum of her small box fan. Everything felt normal except that sound, a slow rhythmic creak from above. Like someone shifting their weight on old wood. I whispered M. No answer. Her side of the sleeping bag was empty. The air smelled like dust and rain, the kind of stale dampness that lingers in old basements and forgotten corners. I could hear faint whispers through the ceiling. It sounded like her voice. I wanted to run, but the hallway looked darker than it should have been. That soft nightlight glow didn't reach past the doorway. It was like the darkness was thicker there, heavier. I took one step out of the bedroom. The attic door hung open at an angle, a rope ladder dangling down into the hall. The ladder looked old, frayed, like something that had been up there for decades. I swear I'd never seen it before. "Emily," I whispered again. The whispering stopped, and then, very softly, something answered. "Don't come up." Her voice. Definitely her voice. But it didn't sound right. It was too calm, too flat. "Em, what are you doing up there?" "I just wanted to look," she said. I hesitated. Every part of me screamed to go back to bed and pretend I didn't see it. But she was my best friend. We'd spent every weekend together since we were 7. I couldn't just leave her. I grabbed the bottom rung of the ladder. It was icy cold, rough against my hands. "Come down," I said. "I can't." Her voice came from deeper now, farther away. The wood above creaked again, slower this time. I found something. When I finally climbed halfway up, the smell hit me. That same dusty, metallic scent you get when a room hasn't been opened in years. "Emily," I called, my head barely reaching the attic opening. The light from the hallway barely touched the space, just black shapes and beams of old insulation. "Em, I can't see you." "Over here," she said. Her voice came from the far side of the attic. I pulled myself up. The floor groaned under my weight. My flashlight, a tiny plastic one from her dresser, flickered weakly as I scanned the space. There were boxes stacked along the edges, old Christmas decorations, a few broken picture frames, and then something else. A small wooden chest in the middle of the floor, and Emily sitting beside it. She was facing away from me, cross-legged, whispering softly to herself. "Em," I said. Stepping closer, she didn't look up. The flashlight beam wavered across the floor, over the chest, over her shoulders, then to her hands. She was holding something small and white, a doll. Its head tilted sharply to one side, hair matted, one glass eye cracked. "Where did you get that?" I asked. She didn't answer. The doll's mouth looked sewn shut with black thread. I took another step. The floor moaned beneath me. That's when she finally turned her head, slow, almost mechanical. Her face looked pale in the light, her pupils too wide. "She said I could stay," she whispered. I froze. "Who?" She smiled. It wasn't her smile. "The girl who lives here." My hand tightened around the flashlight. "What girl?" Emily looked back at the doll, petting its hair. "She said we broke the rule." "What rule?" "The pact." The flashlight flickered again, and for half a second, I swear I saw something move in the corner behind her, a small shadow crawling backward into the darkness. I dropped the flashlight. It hit the floor and rolled away, the beam spinning wildly across the ceiling. In that flash of light, I saw her face clearly. Her eyes were black, completely black, and she was smiling wider than I thought a person could. I screamed and stumbled backward, hitting my shoulder on a wooden beam. The flashlight spun again, and the doll was gone. "Emily," I shouted, "stop it, please." She stood up slowly, her head tilting at a strange angle. "She wants you to stay too," she said. Then she moved fast. I ran for the ladder, tripping over the chest. My hand hit the floor hard, splinters digging into my palm. Behind me, her footsteps were heavy, uneven. The moment I grabbed the ladder and swung my legs down, something cold brushed the back of my neck. I didn't look. I just jumped. I hit the hallway floor hard, my knees slamming against the tiles. The flashlight fell beside me, flickering against the ceiling. The attic door was still open, the ladder swaying slightly. "Emily," I called, my voice shaking. Nothing, just silence. Then movement. Something leaned over the opening, blocking the light. But it wasn't her. It was smaller. A girl, maybe 6 or 7, with long tangled hair and a face pale as paper. Her mouth hung open, like she was trying to scream, but no sound came out. I stumbled backward, heart slamming against my ribs. The girl reached down, one hand curling around the edge of the opening, small fingers, skin gray and dry. Then she whispered, in a voice that sounded like both of them at once, "Promise you won't tell." I blacked out after that. When I woke up, it was morning. The attic door was shut, the ladder gone. Emily's mom was shaking me awake, her voice sharp and panicked. "Where's Emily?" she shouted. I didn't know what to say. The police came later that day. They searched the attic, the house, the woods behind it. Nothing, no sign of her. When they asked what happened, I told them she went upstairs. That's all I said. They didn't believe me. Weeks passed. They never found her. People whispered about it at school, that she ran away, that she was kidnapped. Her mom moved out of that house a few months later. I never went back. But sometimes, when I wake up at night, I can still feel that cold air from the attic, brushing against my skin, and the tattoo I got years later, a small infinity sign on my wrist, matching the one Emily drew on our arms with Sharpie that night. It burns when I think about her. I thought maybe I'd made the whole thing up, childhood trauma, bad memory, whatever, until last week, when I got the letter. It came in a plain white envelope, no return address, just my name in tiny handwriting that looked childish. Inside was a photo. Old, faded edges curled. It was the two of us, sitting on her bedroom floor in our pajamas. I was holding a flashlight. She was smiling, but there was something behind us in the picture. The attic door, open, and a small figure, standing halfway down the ladder. Her face was blurry, but you could see the outline of the doll in her arms. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat up in bed until the clock hit midnight, staring at the photo. Then my phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "You broke the rule." I dropped the phone. My chest felt tight, my skin crawling. Another message came through. "She misses you," and then a photo. My house taken. From outside my window, the flash from the streetlight caught something in the reflection, a small pale face behind me. The police didn't take me seriously. They said it was probably a prank, a coincidence. But every night since, I've heard the same sound, a faint creak above my room, like someone walking across old wood. I checked the ceiling yesterday, and there it was, a square outline I'd never noticed before. An attic door. I swear it wasn't there before. Last night, I taped it shut. I shoved furniture underneath it, anything I could find. But around 3 a.m., the tape peeled loose. The draft started again, cold. Dusty air drifting down. I heard whispering. Two voices, overlapping. "Come see, come see." I pulled the blankets over my head, squeezing my eyes shut. Then something dropped onto the floor beside my bed, a small thud. I didn't move for nearly an hour. When I finally looked, it was there, a doll, its head tilted to one side, its mouth sewn shut with black thread, and carved into its tiny wooden wrist, 2 letters, E+M. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what she wants. But I haven't gone near the attic since. I keep the lights on all night. I barely sleep. And I hear her laugh sometimes, that soft, broken laugh. That doesn't sound like her anymore. I can feel her near me when it gets cold, and sometimes, when I check my phone, there are drafts of messages I don't remember. Typing, "I'm here. It's your turn. Promise you won't tell." I think I understand now. The pact wasn't about staying safe. It was about keeping something inside. And the night she broke it, whatever lived up there, decided one of us had to stay. I just wish it hadn't chosen her. Last night, I heard the attic creak again. This time, there was no whisper, no draft, no footsteps. Just one soft thud above my bed. I looked up. The ceiling paint had cracked slightly, forming a faint outline. Right in the center of it, in thin black letters that weren't there before. Someone had written, "Your turn." And now, every night, when I try to sleep, I can feel the ceiling breathing, waiting for me to open the door. The first time I saw her boyfriend look at me, really look at me, I knew something was wrong. Not wrong in the way most guys flirt behind their girlfriend's back. This was different. His eyes didn't wander. They locked, unblinking, focused, like he was trying to remember something about my face and couldn't quite place it. It was subtle at first, the kind of thing you laugh off when you tell your best friend later. But the longer it went on, the harder it was to convince myself it wasn't real. I met him at a party at her apartment. His name was Daniel, and he seemed nice enough. Clean-cut, quiet, kind of polite, in that performative way that feels rehearsed. He smiled a lot, but his eyes didn't. He shook my hand, firm and steady, holding it just a second too long. "Alex, right?" he said. "She talks about you." I laughed. "Good things, I hope." He smiled again. "Yeah, good things." But there was something in the pause after that, a hesitation that didn't sound like shyness. That night, I caught him watching me more than once, not in a flirty way, not in an interested way, just studying, like he was trying to learn something about me. I told my best friend, Kira, about it later. She brushed it off, rolling her eyes. "He's just awkward," she said. "You're overthinking it." Maybe I was, but after that night, things started happening that made it hard to ignore. Little things at first, him showing up in places he didn't belong. Like when I was grabbing coffee before work one morning and saw him across the street, standing outside a hardware store, staring directly at me. He didn't wave, didn't even blink, just stood there, motionless. When I texted Kira about it, she said he was at work. The second time was worse. I came home late from a shift at the bookstore, exhausted, rain sticking to my hair. My apartment was dark except for the faint yellow glow from the kitchen window. I remember pausing at the door because I saw movement inside, a shadow, slow, careful. I froze, gripping my phone so hard my hand hurt. When I finally got the courage to open the door, the light was off. The room was empty. Nothing was missing. Nothing was broken. But my back window, the one that sticks and takes force to close, was open. I told myself it was a break-in, a random one, but deep down, I already knew whose shadow I saw. When I confronted Kira, she got defensive. "Daniel would never do that," she said. "You're freaking yourself out." "Then why does he keep showing up near me?" She sighed, rubbing her forehead. "He said he feels like you don't like him. Maybe he's trying too hard to make a good impression by watching me through my window." She glared at me. "You're paranoid." That was the first time we fought in years. I tried to let it go, tried to act normal. But one night, a week later, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Nice shirt." I frowned. I wasn't posting selfies or anything. I looked down at myself. I was wearing an oversized black hoodie and shorts. Nothing special. I texted back, "Who is this?" The typing bubble popped up, then disappeared, then popped up again. "The one who knows you better than he should." The blood drained from my face. I went to call Kira, but before I could, another text came through. "Don't tell her." That night, I slept with the lights on. Every creak in my apartment made me jump. Every car that passed outside sounded like footsteps. I changed my locks the next morning. Kira texted me asking if I was okay. I didn't tell her. I just said work was busy. Then she sent a photo. It was her and Daniel at brunch, smiling. He was wearing my hoodie. I called her immediately. "Where did he get that?" She laughed. "What? The hoodie?" He said he bought it last week. "Why?" I felt my throat close. "That's mine, Kira. Come on, I'm serious. That's my college hoodie. It has bleach stains on the right sleeve." There was silence on the line. Then, quietly, she said, "I'll ask him." She hung up before I could say more. I didn't hear from her for 2 days. Then, out of nowhere, she called me late one night. I could tell she'd been crying. "You were right," she said. Her voice was shaking. "He's weird. I don't know how to explain it." "What happened?" "He showed up at my office today, said he missed me, but then he called me Alex by accident." My stomach dropped, and when I corrected him, he just smiled and said, "Oh, right," like it was nothing. She took a shaky breath. "He keeps asking questions about you. How long we've known each other, where you live, what your routines are. It's like he's the line cut out." "Kira." "Nothing, just faint static." Then, in the background, a man's voice said, "You shouldn't have told her." The call ended. I called the police. They said they'd send someone to check on her. I barely slept. In the morning, Kira texted me, "I'm fine." He left, but something about the message didn't sound like her. No punctuation, no warmth, just flat. I called again. No answer. That's when I noticed something in the text history. The message had been sent using the same unknown number that texted me before. I drove to her apartment. I didn't even think, just grabbed my keys and went. It was raining again, same as the night I saw the shadow in my place. Her building looked empty, lights out except for one window on the second floor, hers. I ran up the stairs, heart hammering. Her door was slightly open. The smell hit me before I stepped inside. Metallic, stale, like rust and wet dirt. "Kira." Silence. Her living room was a mess. Couch cushions ripped, photos knocked over. One of our old pictures lay shattered on the floor, and there, on the wall above the couch, was something written in black marker. "She finally sees." I found her in the bedroom. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, facing the wall, her hair covering her face. "Kira." She turned slowly. Her eyes were wide, pupils dilated, her expression empty. "It's okay now," she whispered. "What is—" She smiled faintly. "He said it's okay." I took a step back. "Where is he?" "Right here." It wasn't her voice that said it. It came from behind me. I spun around. Daniel stood in the doorway, drenched from the rain, a knife in one hand. He looked different. His face was pale, almost gray. His eyes unnaturally wide. But what terrified me most wasn't the knife. It was the way he was looking at me. That same stare from before, intense, unblinking. Except now, I understood what it was. Recognition, like he'd finally found something he'd been searching for. I grabbed Kira's wrist and pulled her toward the window. But she didn't move. "She said it's okay," she repeated. I whispered, "Dodd." Daniel smiled. I ran. I don't even remember how. Maybe adrenaline. Maybe fear. I made it out the door, down the stairs, into the street. Behind me, I could hear him laughing, a deep, broken sound that didn't fit his voice. When I looked back once, I saw them standing in the window together, Kira and Daniel, both watching me, both smiling, and their eyes, they looked the same. I went to the police again, filed a report, told them everything. They went to check her apartment. When they came back, they said no one was there. No signs of a struggle, no knife, no writing on the wall. Just 2 glasses of wine on the table, both half full, and a photo frame on the nightstand, with a picture I'd never seen before. It was the 3 of us, me, Kira, and Daniel, all smiling. I moved cities after that, changed my number, deleted social media, even switched jobs. I thought distance would make it stop. It didn't. A few months later, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Miss body text. Just an attachment. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was a photo taken through a window, me sitting on my couch, reading. And behind me, reflected faintly in the glass, was Daniel's face. I called the police again. They searched my building, checked cameras. Everything. No one saw him. No record of anyone by that name, renting or buying anything nearby. The officer asked if maybe it was an ex-boyfriend, someone else, but I knew better. It wasn't about me in the normal way. It wasn't love or jealousy. It was like he wanted to be me. Last night, I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of my front door unlocking, not breaking, unlocking. I stayed completely still. The hinges creaked softly, followed by slow, heavy footsteps on the floorboards. Then a whisper, "You're hard to find." My throat closed. I couldn't even scream. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, but it was gone. Then I felt it, a hand, cold and rough, sliding gently through my hair. I turned, heart pounding, no one there. But the bedroom door was open, and on the wall across from me, someone had written 3 words in marker, "Look in mirrors." It's been hours since then. I haven't called anyone, haven't moved. The sun's up now, and I finally gathered the courage to do what the message said. I looked, and for a second, everything looked normal. My tired face, the dark circles under my eyes. Then I noticed it. The reflection didn't move when I did. It just stood there, smiling, his eyes staring back through mine. Now, when I blink, sometimes my reflection doesn't, and I think he's still in there, waiting for me to stop pretending I'm the one who's real. The flash went off by itself. I wasn't even holding the camera. It came from the hallway, one bright, quick flicker that lit up the walls and vanished, followed by the faint electronic click of a shutter. The sound of the camera my mom used to use. I lay frozen on the couch, staring at the dark. The air in the house felt thick, stale, like it hadn't been breathed in for years. That camera hadn't worked since her funeral. I'd taken the batteries out myself. I told myself it was a hallucination, a dream, grief still playing tricks on me. But when I turned on the lamp, I saw the Polaroid. It was sitting face down on the coffee table. My hands were shaking as I flipped it over. It was a photo of me, asleep on the couch, taken from the hallway. The camera had been hers, an old Polaroid she used for family moments, as she called them, birthdays, dinners, even random nights when she wanted proof we were happy. Except they weren't real. She'd stage everything, make us sit closer, smile wider, even pretend to laugh. If someone blinked or looked sad, she'd tear the photo up right in front of us. "We don't keep bad pictures," she'd say. "We only keep perfect ones." After she died, I boxed all her photos and locked them in the attic. I couldn't stand to look at them anymore, that forced happiness, that fake warmth. But now, one of those cameras was here again, taking new pictures. I searched the hallway. Nothing. Just silence and that smell. Old perfume mixed with dust. I checked the kitchen, the bedrooms, even the attic ladder. Everything was still. But when I came back, another Polaroid was on the table. Same spot. This one showed the back of my head. As I leaned over to look at the first photo, I couldn't even breathe. Someone was taking them while I moved. I grabbed my phone to call 911, but the screen froze mid-dot. The lights flickered, and from the hallway, I heard her voice, soft, faint, but unmistakable. "Smile, sweetheart." I didn't move. I just stood there, shaking, staring down that dark hallway where the sound came from. The air was heavy, too quiet. Then, another flash. This one came from inside her old bedroom. I hadn't been in there since she died. The door was half open, the darkness thick and gray like fog. I could see the faint glow of something metallic on the dresser. The camera. I stepped inside. Every surface was covered in framed photos, hundreds of them. Some were cracked, others new. The same faces over and over. Me, Dad, and her. But in every photo, she looked different. In the newer ones, her smile was wider, her face stretched, her eyes sharper, darker, and in every single one, she was looking at me. The camera sat on the dresser, exactly where she'd always kept it. I picked it up slowly, half expecting it to burn my hand. It was warm. There was a Polaroid sticking out. I pulled it free. It was a photo of her standing behind me, hand on my shoulder. I dropped it when I turned around. There was no one there, just that faint smell of her perfume again. I ran. I don't even remember crossing the hall, but when I looked down, the floor under my feet was lined with more photos. Hundreds of them, all the same. Me, standing in the house, looking terrified like stills from security footage. Some were from last night, some from this morning, and in each one, she was a little closer. I called my cousin that night. She was the only one who'd ever believed me when I said Mom wasn't normal. I didn't even try to explain everything, just said, something's happening in the house. She drove over within the hour. When she came in, she frowned. You smell that? Yeah, it was stronger now. That old perfume, the kind Mom used to drown herself in. The smell filled the house like smoke. My cousin stopped at the doorway to Mom's room. Her face went pale. What the hell? I looked. The walls were covered in new photos, all taken tonight, all showing us. She started grabbing them, ripping them down, yelling, "We're leaving now." But as soon as she touched them, the camera on the dresser clicked. Another photo slid out. We froze. It showed her, my cousin, with her mouth open mid-scream, standing right where she was. We both turned toward the dresser. The camera's lens was aimed directly at her. I lunged for it, but the lights cut out before I reached it. The darkness was absolute. Then came that voice again, louder this time, right beside my ear. "You're ruining our pictures." I ran for the door, dragging my cousin with me, but the knob wouldn't turn. The air felt thick, electric. I could hear the Polaroid worry, click, taking picture after picture in the dark. I finally managed to shove the door open, and we stumbled into the hallway. All the photos that had been on the floor were gone, but the walls were covered, thousands of them, each one showing us running, panicking, clawing for the door. Each one taken seconds before the next. Like someone was recording our escape, one frame at a time. We didn't stop to look. We just ran. We made it outside, gasping in the cold air. I didn't even bother locking the door. My cousin wouldn't stop shaking. What the hell was that? I didn't have an answer. I told her I'd burn the house down in the morning, that I couldn't stay another night. She begged me not to go back inside, but I did. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in my car across the street, staring at the dark windows. The house looked normal, quiet, empty, until around 3 a.m. That's when the flashes started again. One in the kitchen, one in the hallway, one in my old bedroom. They were faint at first, then faster, like someone was taking dozens of pictures, one after another. I wanted to run, to leave, but I couldn't move. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard they hurt, and then I saw her through the living room window. She was standing in the same spot she always took our family photos, holding the camera, and next to her, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A wall of framed pictures behind her, all new. All of me. I don't remember getting home that night. I just remember locking every door and throwing the blankets over my head like a child. I told myself I'd call someone in the morning, the cops, a priest, anyone. But when I woke up, the Polaroids were waiting on my kitchen table. Dozens of them. The top one showed me sleeping in bed, underneath it. The next showed me turning away, eyes closed, mouth half open, and the last one, the one on the very bottom, showed me lying perfectly still, eyes wide open, staring directly at the camera. I burned them all, every single photo. I dumped the ashes in the sink and ran the water until it overflowed. For days, everything was quiet. I thought maybe I'd finally done it. Maybe destroying them broke whatever was happening. But last night, when I walked past the hallway mirror, I saw something taped to the glass. Another Polaroid. I peeled it off slowly. It was a photo of me standing exactly where I was, but I wasn't alone. Behind me, blurry and half-shadowed, Was Mom smiling that same frozen smile she always forced before every photo? And in her hand, she was holding the camera again. I don't use lights anymore. I don't trust what shows up when the flash goes off, but even in the dark, I can feel her here. Sometimes I wake up to the faint mechanical sound, that little work lick. Sometimes I smell the perfume again, sweet and choking, and sometimes I wake up to find new photos beside my bed. Last night's was the worst one yet. It wasn't of me, it was of her, sitting in the living room. Calm, patient, smiling at something off camera, someone sitting across from her, someone holding the camera. When I looked closer, I saw the reflection in her eyes. It was me. The first time I heard the voice through the vent, I thought it was a dream. It was around 3 a.m. The house was dead quiet, except for the hum of the fridge and the wind scraping against the siding. I'd been half asleep when a low murmur drifted up from the floorboards, faint, like a radio turned too low to make out words. At first, I thought it was my imagination, or maybe the pipes. This house was old, but the voice kept going, steady, rhythmic, too deliberate to be random noise. Then I heard my name, Evan, just once. Soft, careful. I sat up, heart pounding, eyes locked on the vent near my bed. Cold air blew up from the duct, carrying that smell of rust and damp concrete that only came from the basement. That's where the voice was coming from. The basement had always creeped me out. It wasn't one of those finished ones, just raw concrete, a single bare bulb, and an old recliner my dad used to sit in. When I was a kid, he'd spend hours down there, talking to himself or the walls. I never knew which. Mom used to call it his quiet time. After he died, I sealed the door shut with a heavy latch. I couldn't bring myself to go down there anymore until that night. The next morning, I checked the latch, still locked. No sign anyone had been down there. I told myself it was just the house settling, that I was tired, that grief does weird things. But that night, the voice came back. Same time, same vent. Evan, come down. It wasn't angry. It wasn't even threatening. It sounded almost calm, like a parent coaxing a child out of hiding. The air coming through the vent was colder now, damp. I could smell mildew and something metallic, like old blood. I got up, crossed the room, and crouched by the vent. Who's down there? I whispered. Silence. Then faintly, you never listened to me. I didn't sleep after that. In the morning, I called my mom. She's been in a nursing home for a few months. I asked if Dad had ever kept something in the basement. There was a long pause on the phone. Then she said, "Don't go down there." Her voice cracked when she said it. I heard her breathing quicken, the sound of her hand trembling against the receiver. "Mom, what are you talking about?" She whispered something I couldn't make out. I asked her to repeat it, but she just said she was tired and hung up. That night, the voice came again, louder this time. It started with a slow hum, like someone tuning a radio. Then words formed through the static. "You always blamed her. She was trying to protect you, but you never listened." The floorboards creaked beneath me. I could feel the vibrations, faint footsteps directly under my bed. I grabbed a flashlight, heart hammering, and forced myself to open the basement door. The latch was still in place, but the wood around it looked splintered, like someone had tried to pry it open from the inside. When I leaned closer, a cold draft hit my face. The smell of damp concrete was stronger now, mixed with something sour. Rot. I undid the latch and pushed the door open. The hinges groaned, echoing down the stairs. The light switch at the top didn't work. The bulb must have burned out. The flashlight beam cut through the dark, catching the dust in the air. "Hello?" My voice cracked. Something moved below, a slow shift, like someone dragging fabric across the floor. "You came." The words floated up from the dark, calm as before. "Who are you?" I said. No answer. Just a sound, a faint scrape, like fingernails brushing against concrete. I took one step down. Then another dot, each step creaked louder than the last. When I reached the bottom, the smell hit me full force. Mildew, dirt, and something rancid beneath it all. The flashlight beam landed on the recliner. Someone was sitting in it. I froze. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating. The figure looked like my father slouched in that same chair, head tilted forward, hands folded in his lap. The skin on his face looked gray, wrong, the way old photos fade with time. Dad. He didn't move. I stepped closer. The beam trembled in my hand. The closer I got, the less he looked like him. The skin seemed stretched too tight, the hands too long, and then he spoke. "You never let me explain." His voice came from somewhere behind me. I spun around. The recliner was empty. The air went still. The basement felt alive, like the walls were breathing, pulsing in and out. My flashlight flickered. "You thought she was innocent." The voice came from the vent system this time, echoing through the pipes. "She said I hurt you, that I kept secrets. But it was her, Evan. She was the one." I pressed my hands to my ears. "Stop. Go look." The beam of the flashlight landed on the far wall. There was something there I hadn't noticed before, a section of concrete that looked newer, smoother than the rest, freshly sealed. I don't remember crossing the room. My body moved on its own. The wall was cold, damp to the touch. There was a faint outline, a small rectangular shape embedded in the concrete, a box. When I knocked on it, it sounded hollow. Behind me, the vent hissed. She hid the truth. She buried it here. I backed away, shaking my head. "You're not real." "Then open it." The air turned heavy. The flashlight flickered again, then died completely. The dark swallowed everything, and somewhere near the wall, I heard the slow crack of splitting concrete. When I came to, I was upstairs on the kitchen floor. I don't remember running up, but the basement door was wide open. Sunlight was coming through the blinds, dust dancing in the air. For a moment, I thought it had been a nightmare, until I saw the footprints wet. Black marks across the floor, leading from the basement to the hallway, and back. I didn't go down again that day. I tried calling my mom, but the nursing home said she wasn't doing well. She'd started screaming in her sleep the night before, yelling my name over and over. That night, I boarded up the basement door. I poured bleach under the crack. Anything to keep whatever was down there away. I told myself it was over. But the next morning, there was a photo sitting on my nightstand. A Polaroid. It showed the basement wall, the new section of concrete, and written on it, in marker, "I told you to look." I broke the wall open that night. I don't know why. I just couldn't stand the not knowing anymore. I pried at the edges with a crowbar until the concrete cracked and fell away. Dust filled the air. My hands bled. Inside was a wooden box. I dragged it out, coughing. It was small, maybe 2 feet long, sealed with a metal latch. When I opened it, I saw something wrapped in an old towel, a cassette tape, labeled in shaky handwriting, "Confessions." I didn't even own a cassette player, but I found one in a thrift store the next day. I don't know what I expected to hear. Maybe nothing. Maybe proof that my mind was gone. I pressed play. At first, there was static, then the sound of my mother's voice. "He thinks I don't know, but I do." I hear him whispering through the vents. Her voice was calm, deliberate. "He says things to Evan at night. He tries to turn him against me, but I can't let him ruin our family." There was a pause, a long breath, then the faint sound of digging. "I'll keep him quiet, just for a while." I stopped the tape. My hands were shaking too badly to press rewind. I sat there for hours, staring at the player. Then I heard it, that same voice again. "You know now." It came from the vent above my head. The air that blew through smelled like earth, freshly disturbed soil. I looked toward the basement door, the one I'd boarded up. The wood was splintered. Something had pushed from the other side. I called the police. They found what was left of him buried behind that wall. My father, they said the body had been there for years. They said my mother must have done it before she was moved to the nursing home. They said I was lucky to be alive, but they didn't smell it. They didn't hear it. When I came home that night, the vents were still humming, and through the walls, faint and wet, came her voice. You should have left him there, Evan. The air smelled of dirt again, and this time, under the floorboards. Another voice whispered back, now it's your turn to listen. The first night she stopped sleeping, I woke up to the sound of breathing that wasn't mine. It wasn't loud, just soft, steady, right beside my ear. I remember lying there in the dark, my eyes half open, trying to convince myself it was a dream. The air in the room felt heavy, like it had been sitting still for too long. And then I realized my wife, Claire, wasn't in bed. Her side of the mattress was cold. The blanket was gone. That's when I saw her standing in the doorway. She was facing the hallway, her back to me. The dim light from the kitchen outlined her in pale gray. Her shoulders were perfectly still, her hands hanging by her sides. Claire, I whispered. She didn't answer. We'd been married 7 years. She'd always been a light sleeper, but this was different. She wasn't tossing or turning. She wasn't moving at all. I got up, rubbing my eyes, and walked toward her. The floorboards creaked under my feet, and that sound, that tiny, human noise made the moment feel real in a way that made my stomach turn. I reached out and touched her shoulder. She flinched hard, like I'd burned her. Then she turned around slowly. Her eyes were open, wide, but glassy. She was awake, at least, I thought she was. Hey, I whispered, what are you doing? She stared at me for a long time. Her lips moved like she wanted to say something, but no sound came out. Then, finally, she smiled. I'm listening, she said softly. Listening to what? Her head tilted. You'll hear it too. I thought she was sleepwalking. It had been a stressful few weeks. Her mother passed, work was a mess, and she hadn't been eating right. I guided her back to bed, but she didn't resist or speak again. She just stared ahead, breathing slow and shallow. When I woke up the next morning, she was sitting upright, still in bed, eyes open. Claire. She blinked once. You didn't hear it. I sat up. Hear what? She looked at me with that same faint smile. You will? Over the next few days? She barely slept, if at all. I'd wake up at random hours and find her sitting on the couch, staring at the wall. Sometimes she'd hum a low, tuneless sound under her breath. Sometimes she'd whisper to herself, too quiet for me to make out the words. I tried everything, warm tea, soft music, even sleeping pills. She'd take them, smile, say thank you, and still sit up all night. On the 4th night, I came into the living room and found her standing in front of the window. The curtains were drawn open. It was 2 in the morning. Claire, I said softly, you have to sleep. She didn't look at me. Do you see them? My chest tightened. See who? She pointed outside. They watch while we sleep. That's why I stopped. The next day, I checked her into urgent care. The doctor said it was likely stress-related insomnia, maybe mild psychosis triggered by grief. They prescribed antipsychotics and referred us to a sleep specialist. That night, I set an alarm for 2 a.m. When it went off, she was gone again. The front door was unlocked. I found her outside, barefoot in the yard. She was standing on the lawn, arms at her sides, staring straight up at the sky. The streetlight buzzed overhead. The air smelled like wet grass. I called her name 3 times before she turned. Her eyes were bloodshot, her voice hoarse. They're louder now. I took a step forward. Who's louder? She looked past me, toward the house. They don't like you hearing them. Claire, come inside. She shook her head slowly. You'll wake them up. That was the first time I noticed the noise. At first I thought it was the wind, a faint low hum, like a refrigerator running somewhere deep in the walls. But when I listened closely, it wasn't steady. It had rhythm, a rise and fall, a pulse, and beneath it, whispers. I thought I was losing it. I dragged Claire inside, locked every door, and told myself it was tinnitus, or the hum of the streetlight, or the boiler. But the sound followed me. I could hear it in the vents, the plumbing, even through the floorboards. That night, she didn't lie down. She just sat cross-legged on the bed, staring at the ceiling. When I asked her what she was doing, she said, "Waiting for you to stop pretending." By the sixth night, I hadn't slept either. The whispers had gotten louder. Sometimes they sounded like voices, other times like static. Whenever I turned off the lights, it felt like the air thickened, pressing against my ears. I started noticing things around the house that didn't make sense, small, wrong details. The kitchen clock ticked backward once before fixing itself. My phone alarm went off 2 minutes early, though it still read 2 a.m. when I looked, and Claire's reflection. God, I wish I hadn't looked. She was standing at the bathroom sink, washing her hands. Her movements were slow, mechanical. I walked behind her, but when I looked in the mirror, she wasn't moving at all. She was just staring into the glass, smiling. I grabbed her shoulders and turned her toward me. "You need to sleep," I shouted. She blinked slowly. "If I sleep, they'll come through." I swallowed hard. "Through what?" She looked down at the drain. I thought she was joking or delusional. But when I leaned closer, I swear to God, I heard it too. A faint scraping, like metal against metal. Then a breath, wet, heavy, like something pulling air through water. I sealed the drain that night. Every one of them, sinks, bathtub, shower. I stuffed them with towels, duct taped over the grates. I thought it would calm her down. It didn't. She just stopped talking entirely. She'd sit in silence for hours, eyes half closed, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. When I tried to talk to her, she'd just smile, that slow, patient smile. "You'll see," she whispered once, "when they pick you." I didn't sleep at all after that. On the 8th night, the power went out. I woke to total darkness, not even the faint glow from the clock. The house was silent. For a second, I thought maybe this was it. Maybe we'd both finally lost it. Then I heard movement downstairs, footsteps, soft, deliberate. I called her name, but she didn't answer. I grabbed a flashlight and went down, the beam cutting through the dark. The front door was wide open. The night outside was so still it hurt. And there she was, standing in the doorway again, staring out. The wind moved through her hair, but she didn't react. She looked empty. When she finally spoke, her voice was flat, detached. "They said you can't hear them anymore." "What are you talking about?" I whispered. She turned her head toward me. "They've decided. It's my turn." And then she stepped outside. I chased her, barefoot, half asleep, stumbling through the yard. She walked straight into the woods behind the house, the ones we never went near at night. "Claire, stop." She didn't turn around. The flashlight caught her figure moving between the trees, that white nightgown glowing faintly. When I reached her, she was standing in a small clearing. The air was cold, but I was sweating. The hum, that low vibration I'd been hearing in the house, was louder out there, deep, rolling, coming from the ground itself. "Do you hear it now?" she asked. Her eyes were black in the dim light. I opened my mouth to answer, but something else answered for me. It came from beneath us, a wet, gurgling sigh. The soil shifted under my feet. Claire smiled. "You shouldn't have made me sleep." I grabbed her arm and tried to pull her back toward the house, but she screamed, a raw animal sound that made my ears ring. The ground trembled. I swear, it moved, like something under it was trying to push through. I dragged her, stumbling, falling into the mud. She kicked and clawed at me, shouting words that didn't sound like words. By the time I got her inside, the power was still out. She collapsed on the living room floor, trembling eyes wide open. I called 911, but my phone just buzzed with static. And then, from the vent near the ceiling, a voice whispered, "She's awake now. They took her away that morning." The hospital said she was in a catatonic state. No reaction, no movement, just her eyes open, always staring at the ceiling. The doctors said her brain was active, constantly firing like she was in REM sleep. Her body won't shut down, one of them told me. It's like she's dreaming while she's awake. I asked if she could hear us. He hesitated. Maybe. It's been 3 months. She's still in that bed, breathing slow, eyes open. They feed her through a tube now. I visit every night, but lately, the doctors have started complaining about the noise, the humming. They say it only happens when I'm there. I tried moving out of the house, but I couldn't. The new place feels wrong, empty. Every night, around 3 a.m., I wake up and hear her voice through the vent again. I'm not tired anymore. Sometimes, when the house goes quiet, I hear something else too. A faint scrape beneath the floorboards, like something shifting in the soil. Last night, I dreamed she came back home. She stood by the bed, smiling that same still smile. When I woke up, there was mud on the sheets. I went to see her this morning. The nurse said she hadn't moved all night, but when I walked into her room, she was sitting upright, eyes wide, staring right at the vent above her bed. The air was cold, damp. The hum was back. "Do you hear it now?" she whispered. Her mouth moved too slow for the words. "You kept me asleep too long." The lights flickered, the machines beeped, and then her breathing stopped, for just a second. Then I heard it again, not from her, but from everywhere. A low, steady sound, crawling through the walls, through the floor, through me. It's louder now, and I think I finally understand what she meant. They weren't trying to wake her. They were waiting for me to stop sleeping. The candles wouldn't go out, no matter how hard I blew. They just flickered and came back, steady little flames dancing on wax that never melted. I laughed at first, but my voice sounded strange in the empty house. It wasn't funny anymore, because I was alone, and I hadn't lit them. It started 2 nights ago, my 32nd birthday. I wasn't planning anything big, just some pizza, a drink, maybe a movie. My mom used to make a huge deal out of birthdays, but after she passed, I stopped celebrating, except that night. When I came home from work, there was a cake waiting on my kitchen counter, chocolate, frosted, perfectly round. "Happy birthday, Lila," written in blue icing. I don't know what bothered me more, that someone had been inside my house, or that the handwriting looked exactly like hers. The first thing I did was check the locks. Front door, back door, windows, all sealed. Nothing broken. No footprints in the light dust near the porch. No sign anyone had forced their way in. But there it was. Cake, candles, my name, even the smell of vanilla. Buttercream, the same brand Mom used. I stood there for a long time, just staring. I told myself it was a prank. Maybe a coworker. Maybe my sister, though she lived 3 states away and barely remembered my birthday these days. Still, I didn't touch it. I didn't throw it out, either. I just left it there, like if I ignored it, it would disappear. But it didn't. That night, I woke to music. Soft piano notes drifting down the hallway. Familiar. "Happy birthday to you." My stomach dropped. The song was slow, off-key, like it was being played from an old tape recorder. I got out of bed, heart pounding, and followed the sound to the kitchen. The lights were on. The cake sat on the table. Candles burning bright. 12 this time, not 32. The same number Mom used to insist on when I was little. "You never need more than 12, she'd say. "That's enough light to make a wish." The music stopped as soon as I stepped closer. The flames went out on their own, and when the smoke cleared, the writing on the cake had changed. "Make a wish." I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I threw the cake out. box and all. I scrubbed the counter with bleach until it smelled sharp enough to sting my nose. But when I came home that evening, there it was again, perfectly intact. Same cake, same icing, same 12 candles waiting for me. I threw it out again. It came back again by the third time. I stopped pretending it was a prank. I started noticing other things. The kitchen clock always stopped at 7:12 p.m., the time I was born, according to my mom. The air in the house smelled faintly of her perfume, that old lilac scent she never stopped wearing. And my phone, it kept ringing from unknown caller. When I picked up, it was just breathing. Soft, slow, familiar. Who is this? I asked once. Silence, then, faintly make a wish. I didn't go to work the next day. I packed a bag, ready to leave for my sister's place. But when I walked outside, something stopped me cold. My car was covered in frosting. Not a smear, not a prank. Coated, every inch, thick white buttercream. On the windshield, written in finger strokes. You forgot the candles. That night, I called the police. I told them someone was breaking into my house, harassing me. They checked the locks, the windows, the backyard, found nothing. One of them even joked that maybe I had a secret admirer. I showed them the cake. They laughed, said it looked store-bought. They left, and for a few hours, I felt stupid enough to almost believe them, until 11:59 p.m., when my phone buzzed again. It was a video message. I opened it. It was me, sitting at my own kitchen table, smiling, clapping, as someone off camera sang happy birthday. The voice was muffled, low, but I knew it. Mom's voice. At the end, I leaned forward toward the camera and whispered, "See you next year." I smashed the phone against the counter. It didn't matter. The next morning, it was fine. The video was gone, but the cake was still there. The candles were already lit, and sitting beside. It was a photo, one I'd never seen before. Me and Mom. She was holding me on her lap. I couldn't have been more than 5. Behind us, a cake, chocolate, blue frosting, 12 candles. But that wasn't what made my skin crawl. Someone had scratched a third person out of the picture. The edges were ragged, the face completely gone, and written beneath, in faded ink, "Don't forget to thank him this time." I started drinking after that, anything to sleep through the nights. But no matter how much I drank, I'd always wake at the same time, 7:12 p.m., the sound of piano, the smell of sugar burning. I stopped opening the fridge after I found another slice of cake inside. This one had my name carved into it, deep enough to reach the plate beneath. I started staying in my room with the door locked. I taped paper over the vent so I wouldn't smell the frosting anymore. Still, every morning, it was there, sitting on the table. Perfect, fresh, waiting. Yesterday was worse. I woke to balloons, hundreds of them, filling the kitchen. Pink, white, gold, brushing against the ceiling like breathing skin. When I popped one, a small piece of paper fell out. Each balloon had one. Every note said the same thing. "It's your birthday, Lila. It's your birthday, Lila. It's your birthday, Lila." Over and over, hundreds of them, until the air stank of rubber and ink. And underneath all that, on the counter, sat the cake again. But this time, there was something new. A chair pulled out beside it, and a knife. I left. Drove until sunrise. Slept in my car. When I finally went home today, the house was cold. The air smelled clean again. No cake, no candles, no music. For the first time in days, it felt normal. I almost laughed. I went upstairs to shower. My clothes smelled like old sugar, my hair stiff from dried frosting. I turned on the water, hot enough to fog the mirror. That's when I saw it, scrawled across the steam. "Happy birthday to us." I froze. My reflection didn't move, not right away. It smiled a second later. I ran downstairs, slipping on the wet tile. The lights flickered. The smell hit me before I saw it. that heavy vanilla, that sickly sweetness. The cake was back, but not just one, dozens, stacked across every surface, counters, chairs, floor, everyone with 12 candles, burning bright. And in the center of the room, at the table where it all started, sat my mother, or what looked like her. Her skin was pale, stretched tight, her smile wide and glossy like icing. Her eyes glimmered with candlelight. "Mom," I whispered. "It's time," she said. Her voice was soft, almost kind. "You never made your wish." I shook my head. "You're dead?" She smiled wider. "Then wish me back." The candles flickered harder, like they were feeding off her words. The flames stretched long and sharp, bending toward me. The air was too hot to breathe. "Stop," I whispered. But she just kept smiling. "Make a wish, Lila." I turned and ran out the door, into the street, barefoot, sobbing. My neighbors watched from their windows as I screamed. I didn't go back, not even when the firefighters came. They said the house went up fast, like it was soaked in fuel. No one inside. They asked me about the smell, the sugar, the candles. I told them I didn't know. They said the fire started in the kitchen, right where the table used to be. It's been 3 days. I'm staying at a motel across town. I haven't slept, but tonight, I woke to the smell again. Vanilla, buttercream. I sat up. There was a faint glow coming from under the motel door, warm, flickering light spilling across the carpet. I got up, trembling, and opened it. The hallway was empty, except for one thing: a cake, chocolate, blue frosting, 12 candles burning bright, and beside it, a slice missing. Someone had already taken their piece. I don't think it's my mom anymore. I think it's whoever she was wishing to bring back all those years. Because when I looked closer at the icing, I saw something written I'd never seen before. Not "Happy Birthday, Lila," not "Make a Wish," just 3 words, in neat, familiar handwriting: "Thank you, sweetheart." And underneath that, pressed deep into the frosting, like someone had dragged a finger through it, was a date. Tomorrow's